To be completely honest, I flip-flopped on whether or not I was gonna make this video, but some people expressed interest in it, so we're going for it. Chapter 7 just ended for EN, and it's been a while for JP, so I've had a lot of time for thoughts to stew and stuff. So today I'm gonna try and talk through my feelings and do a postmortem on Chapter 7. I'm gonna talk about the good, the bad, and my top 5 favorite things in Chapter 7. Also, because of how long this video is, this is really just a glorified podcast, so feel free to have this on in the background since I'm not really going to be heavily editing the video or having important stuff on screen, so you're going to have this in the background. I know in my summary videos I complain a lot, so let's start off with the things I liked about Chapter 7 and felt worked well. The first thing is the running theme of found family when it comes to Insomnia. Malleus, Lilia, Silver, and Sebek aren't related by blood, but through circumstance they've come together and formed a solid family. Malleus and Silver are practically brothers and Lilia is basically their dad, and though Sebek's parents are present in his life, let's be real here, Lilia is basically guardian number 4 after Ball. I don't think it's a stretch to say that Lilia had a giant hand in raising Sebek. The bonds between the four are so sweet and wonderful to watch unfold, and I think Yana and the writing team did a great job with them. I also love the lore and world building we got in this chapter. From history to modern day, we've seen a lot more Twisted Wonderland. Lore is one of my favorite things about any video game, so being able to get more twist lore was wonderful for me, even though I feel like Yana and Co massively fumbled some things, but we'll get to that later. The character designs are also great. I love Malinor and her design, but I also love the Chapter 7 alternative designs for the House Wardens. Punk Riddle is such a good design, and I low-key want to cosplay it, not because I love Riddle, I'm neutral to him, but because I want that outfit so badly. And going off of character designs, getting character-focused parts were super fun. I love seeing a look into everyone and getting more insight on them. When you have a large cast like Twist does, it can be difficult to balance characters, and I admit I don't think Twist has this down to a science yet, but I liked everyone getting a spotlight. And overall, I enjoyed the story of this chapter and thought it was a nice take on overblotting. Malleus overblotting early was a nice way of changing things up, and the dream sequences were mostly interesting, and the ending felt fairly good. But as you can tell with the way I'm talking, I also have a lot of problems with Chapter 7. And if I'm being honest, I feel like I have as many bad things to say about Chapter 7 as I do good things. Although there's a lot of stuff I liked, there's a lot of stuff I didn't, and overall, I'm kind of mixed on Chapter 7. So, let's get into my complaints. So the first con I want to talk about is pacing. Yana has a bit of a pacing problem. It's not exclusive to Twisted Wonderland. Black Butler also has this problem. And I wouldn't be surprised if Yana's old dojins also have this problem. As a writer, I get it. I've definitely been guilty of having just god-awful pacing in my stuff before. But the pacing really bogged down this chapter and made things feel like a pain to get through. I also understand not wanting to cut things, but I feel like something should have been cut or massively changed to make the story tighter. It felt too drawn out for me, not in an updates kind of way, but in a fundamental story way. And most of these pacing issues, in my opinion, are because of the dream sequences. I admit I feel a little mean saying this, but I'm gonna be honest. Some of these dreams could have been an email. Some of the dreams felt like they were just functioning more as filler than anything else. Some dreams went on for way too long, and I think it could have been cut down to just a part or two. I really started noticing this during Floyd's dream. It just felt like it went on and on and on. And honestly, it could have been way shorter and nothing would have been lost. Jade's also felt stupidly long. Azul's felt fine, but the Tweels felt like it was drawn out so the update would be longer or something. It didn't feel like it was made longer for any other purpose than to pad the story and give the Tweels more screen time because they're so popular. So by the time you get to Azul's, which again, I felt was fine, you're kind of exhausted from reading. Jack's dream had spades of this, as did Leona's. Douche, Trey, and Riddle's sorta felt like this too, although Riddle's had other issues that I think kind of made the pacing a lot worse. With Riddle's dream, my problem with it is one, the pacing is like bad, but I think that they just did too much for both dreams. I think they should have cut down on the second one a little bit and made it shorter, because it did felt really, really long. Like, I mean, Riddle's first dream does feel kind of long, but I feel like that one is not as, like, bad pacing-wise as it could have been, but I feel like the second one is, like, it feels like a bit of a slog. So it's like, I feel like Riddle has kind of two things going on for it, but anyways, a lot of dreams toward the end felt needlessly drawn out, and it made getting through them a slog. In the same vein, a lot of Chapter 7 started to feel samey after a while. While going into people's dreams is interesting, and while I do like the introspective look into them, the problem is that this became so formulaic that I was getting a lot of game fatigue. And my final complaint worth talking about is I think Yana and co. really fumbled the colonization aspect of Briar Valley's history. I got a lot of comments in my Chapter 7 Part 3 Twist Notes video disagreeing with me, and no, this is distasteful at best and actively harmful at worst. I think colonization is inherently unforgivable full stop no matter what country you're from, and I think if you're from a country or people who have done colonizing, you need to be even more careful with how you discuss it. So many people around the world have been permanently damaged in some way because of colonization. While I think we can agree the Dawn Knight is a complicated figure and isn't entirely evil or good, if you're trying to make him sympathetic to players, having him on the side of colonization is an incredibly dumb move. Not just because colonization is bad, but because it's immediately going to put a lot of people off when it comes to him, for very good reasons. Not to mention, I think his character was fumbled in other ways that contribute to the Dawn Knight just being a flat, meh character overall, but I'm going to talk more about that in my video for next week, which is a Chapter 7 rewrite video. But anyways, I think colonization is unforgivable, and the idea of the two sides reconciling at the end just felt gross to me, and also, not built up well. I would get it more if the soldiers were all actively doubting Henrik's motives for the war, the Silver Owls are constantly shown to be horrified by what they're being ordered to do, stuff like that, but they really aren't. And from my point of view, there's nothing to make the Briarline soldiers just forgive the Silver Owls after death. The vibe of the story at the end just gives let's just let bygones be bygones, but there's no foundation or lead up for that. Colonization aside, which is a wild thing to say, it just doesn't feel like there is a good build-up for them actually trying to reconcile from a story standpoint. You have these two groups that are just, at war with each other. There's not really a whole bunch of, areas of gray in here. It feels very black and white. And then it's just oh, well, let's just all forgive that. And it's it feels like it came out of nowhere, and it feels like it just feels shoved in there and not earned at all. And I think this is not, a problem exclusive to Yana. I think a lot of stories do kind of fumble war narratives a bit. If we... Listen, I love her. I love her dearly. Fire Emblem Fates, again, I think unpopular opinion, I do like Fire Emblem Fates. But I feel like it is so just fumbled in the way that you have, the good country and then the bad country, which is simplifying things. But, I feel like a lot of games and a lot of media, when they're doing war narratives, they have one country and it's this country is perfect and great and fantastic, and then there's the evil country. And I feel like Twist definitely went into, kind of took that, which, to be fair, it's kind of correct in this, situation, right? I do think that, the whole good versus bad country thing is way more justified in Twisted Wonderland. But I think because they have, a very good reason to have that narrative, if you want people to sympathize with the bad country, or you want people to believe that they could reconcile, you shouldn't have gone the route that you did. I feel like the whole thing was just a mess. I feel like the whole thing was just a mess, from messaging to also just story-wise, suspension of disbelief is only gonna go so far, right? Overall, that aspect of story is, a massive mess to me, but again, I'll get more into it next week, and also say, what I would have done differently, because, oh boy, I've got a lot of opinions. I've got a lot of opinions on what I would do differently. So with most of my complaints squared away, I'm not, gonna talk about, maybe very minor ones, but anyways, I'm gonna quickly go over my favorite moments of Chapter 7. So number 1, Malleus's prince outfit. He's so pretty, but also this design is just so nice, and he has Malinor's ring, and that makes me kind of cry a little bit. I really love this outfit. I love this. It's my screensaver. It's my screensaver on all of my computers. I don't think anyone is surprised. Number 2, Rook's dream. I think his dream was super solid, and I also love that we got to see his fanboy side. Rook rightfully gets some shit in the fandom, and I really love that the dream showed his sweet side. Him being lured to the Colosseum and being excited that Yu was gonna share stuff they love with him is just so incredibly cute. Number 3, the Five Nights at Idia's section where Malleus is trying to break into Idia's room is so tense and good. I just love that section. And also, I'm surprised no one's made a fan game in the FNAF gameplay style, but I don't know, that's just kind of another thing. But anyway, I love that section. 4, the final battle maps and the twist within twist section. The way I screamed when Idio was like game, set, match and the screen went black and the fake loading screen started. I was so hyped in that moment. It was just so fucking good. Absolute cinema, 10 out of 10, no notes. And finally, Mama Shroud finding Idio's hentai stash and just also her in general. I love that we got to meet the Shroud parents, but I also just love Mama Shroud. She's so funny and cool. Adore her. And those are my thoughts on Chapter 7. Very briefly, I probably could talk about this for hours, but anyways, overall, I'm mixed on this chapter. There's a lot of things I liked, and there's a lot of things I didn't like. I do really wish different directions had been taken at various points of the chapter, but I don't think the entire chapter is a wash or something. Like I've mentioned before, the next video will be what I would do for Chapter 7 instead of what we got. That's gonna take a while to edit though, and I don't know when it'll come out. But I'm gonna try and get it out pretty soon. I hope it's gonna be next week's video, but I'm gonna be real, I don't know. The whole thing is already written, but I'm gonna need a lot of time for editing for that one, so that's why I'm like, Before I go, I'd like to give a big shout out to all my ladyfingers in waiting who support me and continue to make these videos possible. A big thank you and telepathic snacky treat to my December 11th, 2025 ladyfingers in waiting, Michgal2189, Omimi, Visa, Annette, Dorcas, Ukaku, Yoza the Kiseki, Farafo, Lady Lunarine, Crowdjail, Yungumo, and Richter. Thank you guys, and I'm Kyoryu. And if you've made it this far, thank you too. I hope you all have a great rest of your day or whatever you're having, and yeah, I'll see y'all later.